All right, President Trump sending a strong message to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad that the U.S. will not stand idly by as he murders and gasses his own people. But as the U.S. learned from the Libya intervention in 2011, taking out a dictator without a clear strategy can destabilize an entire region. So how can the president prevent further damage to the Middle East? Here to discuss, former CIA analyst Fred Fleitz, national security analyst for the Clarion Project Mauro, and former CIA officer Brian Dean Wright. Gentlemen, thanks for joining our national intelligence panel here this morning. Brian, I will start with you. How do we took out Gaddafi in 2011 and Libya descended into chaos. How do we avoid anything like that here in Syria?
It comes down to strategy. We have to figure out what exactly we want to accomplish. Do we want regime change? Do we want to create a new democratic state? Or do we want to focus on tactical issues like degrading the ability of Assad to deliver these chemical weapons? That's where we have to focus on the broader strategy, because the tactics will flow from that.
Ryan, it's a good point. If you don't have a strategy, then your tactics can be aimless. It seems that the Trump administration has wanted to focus on just preventing the use of chemical weapons. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes, but they also want to get Assad and his inner circle out of power, to resign and probably leave the country. So when people say that the policy is now regime change, as if they're uprooting the entirety of the government, that's not accurate. The other lessons that we need to learn is to support forces on the ground that are fighting Islamist militias, as is going on in Libya now. And I would also add, if something goes wrong, probably shouldn't blame it on a YouTube video.
A fair point. But Fred, I mean, in Libya, we took out a dictator, didn't have a plan afterwards. If Bashar al-Assad intentionally or unintentionally were to be deposed or regime change happened, what happens next?
Let me be clear here. I think that we should not be talking about removing Assad without a plan. Let's consider that about half to 60% of the Syrian rebels, who are not just fragmented, they are Islamists or hardline jihadists. We could make the situation much, much worse. Right now, I see two scenarios. We have to occupy the country and engage in nation building. The American people will never stand for that. Or the country falls into anarchy like Libya, and Al-Qaeda and ISIS and other Islamist groups take over. For now, we should be reining in Assad, stopping him from using weapons of mass destruction, intensify diplomacy, but let's not do something rash that will make the situation much, much worse.
Sure. Well, certainly the decisive action, and if it stays limited on chemical weapons, has sent a strong signal to the entire world that America is back. We won't stand for breaches of international norms. Brian, we don't have that much time, so I don't know if we're going to go all the way around again, but I want to get your comments on how this might be a wake-up call for other adversaries, say like North Korea.
Here's the bottom line. North Korea is working very closely with Iran, and we know that from a ballistic missile perspective, that those two nations are working very closely together. So this strike, where Iran has been actively engaged, this is going to send a very clear message, not only the Iranians, but also the North Koreans. I can guarantee you that Mr. Kim in Pyongyang did not sleep well these past few days. He's going to be very clear that the United States is going to act unilaterally. And he's never believed that in the past, and certainly the Chinese haven't believed that in the past.
Boy.
So this is important development.
If your enemies don't believe that you're willing to act unilaterally, then they will change their calculus. Ryan, what's the calculus of Kim Jong-Un right now?
He's thinking, look at what Trump did in Syria over a chemical weapons attack that killed about 90 people. And he's saying, but you know what? I've got 80 to 120,000 people in concentration camps right now. What is Trump going to do when he's confronted with that fact?
Fred, briefly, what is the calculation of Un?
The president said if China doesn't take out North Korea's program, he will. I think China and North Korea are right now very worried.
Boy, it's such great analysis from all of you. The clear case here is if you use military action, it strengthens your hand in diplomacy because your enemies start to realize their words mean something. And so when you deliver those words, maybe you get an outcome without the necessity of the use of military force. All of you, Brian Dean Wright, Ryan Mauro, Fred Fleitz, thanks for your expertise. We really appreciate it.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
You got it.